Hi, here at Graphic 45, here to show you how to use our volume 8 of our Club G45 kit. And of course, this month we are going to be using our Tropical Travelogue collection, featuring this gorgeous book box and the lovely Decades ink pad, some of these feet. And what we're creating is this cute little steamer trunk using that collection. The fun thing is, if you're not a part of the Club G45, you could use any of your G45 stash and one of our cute book boxes to create this. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be learning lots of great fussy cutting tips and how to use the feet, and just a lot of really fun little things, as well as this cute little insert in this video. In our second video, the project, we are going to be doing this cute little journal, so check that out for more details. And I am Aimee with Graphic 45, and I'm going to be the one walking you through this month's monthly kit. So come a little closer and let's get started. All right, so now to dive into our steamer trunk and tag insert project for our volume 8 of the Tropical Travelogue. So of course, with all of our Club G45 kits, you get this gorgeous colored project sheet that gives you step-by-step instructions. And so throughout creating the project, you definitely want to make sure you're referencing the measurements and sizes and everything in the project sheet. So once you have your project sheet out, you have that ready to go, then you're first going to grab your book box, and you just want to take off all the packaging. Inside each book box, there are 3 of our regular size tags, as well as a nice brass binder ring. I'm going to put those aside for now. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to take some tape here, and we're going to put it across the open spine, because we don't actually want to be able to open that, because once we open the project, once we create the project with the box, it's going to open like that. So take out some type of adhesive tape, whatever your preference is, and then just line that inside of your spine with your tape. So we can adhere that down with a nice solid adhesive. And you can use whatever is your personal favorite. And throughout this class, we are going to be using a couple different adhesives. And of course, it's all a personal preference, but we'll be using some tape, as well as a liquid adhesive, and also a 3D adhesive. So if you want to get those out and get them ready to go, we'll be using those throughout. And then also for the feet, the fourth bit is the metal adhesive, which we're going to use an E6000 for that, to really get those metal feet on there really nicely. So once I've put my adhesive down on that, I'm going to just kind of make sure and press that down. And of course, that is step 1 on your instructions. So once you have that done, you can take your box, and we're just going to set that aside for now. From here, you want to grab one of your, it's the office phone ringing here in the G45 office. And so from the Jungle Fever paper, which looks like this, and this is your step 2, you're going to cut a few different cuts. First, you're going to cut a 7 and 4 5/8. You're going to cut a 6 3/8 by 4 3/8. You're going to cut 2 6 3/8 by 2 1/8. And you're going to cut another 2 4 3/4 by 2 1/8. And of course, you don't need to hurry and write those down. All you need to do is reference your project sheet for those measurements. So once you've cut those pieces out, those 6 pieces, you're going to take your lovely photogenic ink and you're going to ink those edges. And I love this, using this dark photogenic ink, because it looks just so nice with the black book box we're working with. So we don't have any of those white edges, and I have pre-done all of these edges, so we're good to go on those. So now we have our pieces of our Jungle Fever. Now we're going to take those and we're going to adhere them to the inside of our box, like so, as you can see. So we want to take those and adhere on the inside of your box. One of the pieces we're saving for later. So, and this is where I like to use a liquid adhesive because it has a little bit of more flexibility to move around the papers. But of course, you can definitely use whatever makes you comfortable. So, and just glue those on the inside there. And these book boxes, if you have not worked with them yet, they have so many options of what you can do with these. Created a lot of really cute projects. Our design team members, if you get on Pinterest, you can always Google book box graphic 45, and a plethora of different projects will pop up on there that you can see. Just all of the creativity is super cute of different things that you can make. One of my favorite things I've seen is someone has created and used the book box to make a little music box. You get the little music box piece and have that work when the box opens. It's very cute, but also just with the tags that come with the box, those are our regular tags that you can also buy additional. So if you wanted to create a mini that has more than just the 3 tags, you can do so. And so these book boxes fit all those regular size tags in here, because it was created with those tags in mind. As you can, if you're a graphic 45 follower, you know that a lot of our staples coordinate with one another, and our tags work with some of our boxes, as well as we have some tag and pocket albums. So we like things to work together like that. And this is good to go. And so it looks like my piece to go inside my box, I need to trim it just a tad. So I'm going to grab my trimmer. Just trim off the edges, and sometimes we have to make those tiny adjustments just to get it on the inside. So I'm going to cut off about 1/8 of an inch on both sides. We'll see if that is enough. Maybe a little bit more even. My hands are a little bit sticky, so of course that isn't helping. Shave off just a little bit more. Do the same 2 sides so I don't have to re-ink. Alright. Just a little bit. Okay. Perfect. So I'll pull that out. 6 by 4 2/3. Okay. So now I'm going to take this piece, I'm going to glue that on the inside there. We're going to ink those edges of where I cut. Nice black photogenic edges. Some adhesive on the inside, and hopefully that will fit just right. And it does. Perfect. And just press that down, make sure all of my edges and everything. So as you can see, I've got the inside of my lovely lined box is already looking gorgeous. All right, and then I have my 7 by 4 5/8 piece that is going to just get glued, centered on the inside flap of my book box. So I will glue that down. And it's important to center it because as you're going to see, the edges of the top and bottom, because we didn't want to have to cut into another sheet of paper, it's a little bit shy, but it's not going to matter because we're going to decorate it with a sticker border on the top, and then the bottom we're going to be creating a pocket, so you won't. So just center that piece on there, and then we have the lining of our box. Set that aside here for a moment. Now we're going to move on to step 3 in your project sheet. In step 3, we are going to be taking our garden aisle paper that looks like this gorgeous piece. And from there, you're going to cut a few things. You're going to first cut a 6 7/8 by 4 7/8 piece. Then you'll cut a 6 1/2 by 2 1/4. And then we're going to cut 2 pieces. And those 2 pieces are 4 1/4 by 2 1/4. And those are for our sides of our box. And then you're going to cut a 9 by 3 1/4. So once you've made those cuts, and again, reference your project sheet for those cuts, we are going to now ink those edges. And these pieces of our garden aisle, this beautiful floral, is going to go on the outside of our box. So we want those to look nice and spiffy. Those beautifully inked edges. So just so you know, this first piece is the longer piece. That's going to go on the front. On the spine of the box, we have something special. So make sure that this piece, you do not glue it on the spine, that it goes on the front of the box with it when it's open. When looking at it, the front with it when it's open, like so. So I'm going to glue that down. And just make sure that's nice and centered on there. Okay. And then do my 2 side pieces. And if you have worked with these book boxes, in the comments, let us know, what have you created? It's always fun to hear about other people's ideas and the way that they have used a product, which I think is personally one of my favorite things with our designers, who, if you follow our blog, you see that our daily inspiration of our wonderful G45 brand ambassadors that live all over the world, and we get to see their beautiful inspiration. And it's really neat to see how different regions of the world kind of have their own little way of their niche. And so it's fun to see the different interpretations of how people use certain products and collections. All right, so I have my sides on there, the 3 sides, and now I'm going to put this across the top of my box like so, and this is going to be the base. Make sure I have that right side up, which with the floral pattern is a little challenging to tell which way was right side, so if you get it wrong, it doesn't really matter, especially since we're going to be putting some layers and stuff on here. So, and hopefully I'm not too sniffly today. Usually I've been having really crazy allergies this season, and so in past videos I've been kind of sniffly, so hopefully that's not the case. All right, so now as you can see, the box is coming along beautifully, but we are not done yet. We still are going to be adding more beautifulness to this project. All right, so now we are going to grab the gorgeous signature page from Tropical Travelogue, and on this page what we want to do is we're going to cut out this piece, which is basically we're going to take the top strip and we're just going to cut that across at 2 3/8 of an inch down. Just cut that across, and then we're going to cut it 7 inches across, with cutting it straight down where the aisle, where it says aisles, with that round kind of stamp down, measure from there, from the eye down 7 inches, and that's how we get the spine of our box. So you want to cut that piece down for now, and that is going to be our gorgeous spine. And now I'm going to ink the edges on that and get that prepped and ready to adhere to my spine of my box. All right, so put that aside, and of course the rest of that paper is going to be used at some point. And so see how that just fits perfectly? So you cut that, so 7 inches across by 2 3/8 down. So looks like I might need to get some more adhesive. My liquid adhesive is running low. All right. Okay. So now I have glued that down on the spine. And that's looking very nice. Okay. So now we are going to move on to step 5. So on step 5, you want to grab the piece of the garden aisle, and that was we cut already to 9 inches by 3 1/4. Now you're going to grab your scoreboard, and we are going to score this because we're going to be creating the pocket for on the inside of our box. So I've got my scoreboard here, and first I'm going to go the short way. I'm going to take my piece of paper, and I'm going to score this at 2 1/4. So I'm going to score this at 2 1/4. Okay, and I'm also going to score this at 2 3/4. 2 3/4. Okay, once I've scored that, I'm going to rotate it And then I'm going to score this at a 1/2 inch. Then I'll score at 1 inch. Then I will score at 8 inches. And then I will score at 8.5 inches. All right, so once I have scored that piece, then I'm going to grab my scissors and I'm going to cut off the corners on here of where my score marks are for easy folding. Okay. So I'm cutting off that square corner. From here, I'm going to grab my antique brass claw feet, and you might be wondering, why are we grabbing those? Well, I'm going to be using the top of this packaging to create this inside shape, as you can see on my lovely project here. I'm going to create this fun inside cutout keyhole by using the top of the packaging. So it's all about being creative and using what we have and looking at those interesting shapes. And of course, this shape was of the inspiration for our tags for this tag, as you can see. So I'm going to center that on there. And I want it just to be bent down maybe about a 1/2 inch or so from the top of this piece. So okay, I'm gonna trace it. Hopefully my head isn't in the way. I can tend to do that sometimes. Okay. Eyeball that. And actually it looks a little bit off, so I'm gonna go. If I fold in those side flaps, that actually is a really good gauge for, my hands are a bit sticky. So I think it was off a little bit, but it's okay because I'm tracing it on the B side of it, so I'm not. So now that I've done that, I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to carefully cut along that traced line, and we're going to create this fun keyhole just by using the top of that packaging. So you can trace that with a pencil if you like. And there we go. We have our gorgeous pocket, and we're going to ink the edges so you can't see those white So once we glue this down, the way that this pocket is going to work is we're going to actually, the reason why we double scored that is because you're going to fold this back accordion style so that this pocket has a bit of the ability to have some more depth to it. So we'll first glue down the bottom of it to our box. And like I had mentioned before, since we centered that piece on there, that covers up that bottom extra area. So I'm going to take on this, I want to use some tape, something a little bit more sturdy than the liquid adhesive. So we'll use the tape. All right. It's hard when you don't have fingernails to tear off that back side, right? Especially when my fingers are so sticky. Tweezers is what some of you at home are saying. She needs tweezers. All right. So just adhering this across the bottom for now. So I just want to make sure I get that centered on there, like so. All right. And now the sides as well, which you can put the tape on before, which is probably advisable, and then peel off the edges, but sometimes here, do that. Do the same with the other side. And if you see, if you do that, fold the paper the accordion style, and you just put it on this end, then it's nice because then you can put something that's a little bit wider in there in the pocket. So you can peel off those edges, and I'll do the same. To that side. Make sure it's folded down. And across, there you go. There is my dimensional pocket, as you can see. So that is just a really cool technique because it shows you how you can create a deeper pocket. So now I'm going to grab a little flare from my 12 by 12 sticker sheet, and I'm going to grab part of this sandy colored sticker, and I'm just going to grab all of it right now, but I will put the extra back. So that's just going to go across the bottom, just up maybe 1/4 of an inch or so. Get it to stay where I want it to go. So that's going to go across the bottom. And I'll trim off the extra and put that rest of that sticker back on my sticker sheet so I can use that later. Trim the edge on this. Then I can also grab an Explorer stamp. And you know what? I'm gonna hurry and ink those edges so they blend in as well. And that's just gonna go on the pocket as well. Straighten that out. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna hurry and ink this too, just so I don't see those edges. I just love the way that black ink looks on the edges too, especially with a black surface like this box. I think it's very G45. All right, so there we have our fun little pocket. And now from here, we're gonna dive into step 8. So step 8, you're gonna grab your island jewel paper and also another one of your garden aisle papers. So grab those 2 papers. Once you have those, we are going to be cutting from your garden aisle. You're going to cut 2 3 by 3 1/4 by 4 7/8. So you're going to cut 2 of these 3 by 3 1/4 by 4 7/8. We're going to be using the B side, and then you're going to cut 2 the exact same size of 3 by 3 1/4 by 4 7/8 as well. So once you have cut those, you are going to round your edges with a corner rounder. If you do not have a corner rounder, then one trick is you can take this packaging and you can actually trace the corner edge onto your paper and then fussy cut that out. So that's just a little trick if you don't have a corner rounder. So once we've cut those 4 pieces out, you're going to take your photogenic ink. You'll ink the edges. Actually, this corner got missed, so I'll hurry and cut that corner around that edge. And we're going to be using the B sides on both of these. So, and when I say B side, if that's an unfamiliar term for any of you, what that means is the B side for G45 is typically more of a simpler pattern, like these 2 designs, versus the A side has a more heavily designed kind of side. So usually if we reference A or B whenever we're talking, that's what we're referring to. So usually you can pretty easily tell by the A side being the more heavily decorated, and then the B is more of a complementary pattern. So once we have those, you're going to grab 2 of the tags that were inside the box, 2 of our black tags, and you're going to take those and you're going to, on the grommet side up, so how you can tell the grommet side up is this pretty little finished grommet, and then on the reverse side is the back of the grommet. So there is a front and back on these tags. So you want to take the grommet side up, and we are going to be gluing this green pattern to be facing up. So just center that on there. And it's so hard. I know a lot of people, when we're teaching classes, they're like, I can't choose what side to glue on because both sides are so pretty, especially when we are gluing a B side up. So if you prefer the other side up, you are more than welcome to change it however you want, because it's your own project. So we're gluing those down on that side, and then on the reverse side, we're going to be gluing down the yellow pattern, the geometric pattern. So all right, now I'm going to flip those over, and I'm going to glue down the geometric pattern. So what we're going to be using these for is this fun closure on our steamer trunk. We're going to be using these tags to create that in a very clever way. And this class was created and designed by Clement, who is one of our special project designers and has been a design team / brand ambassador with us. And so once we're going to take that tag, we're going to score it, once we have those pieces glued on there, at 4 inches. So we're going to take it so that the grommet is on the left side, and we're going to score that at 4 inches. And I'm actually going to do that on both sides since this is fairly thick. Okay. I'll do that to both of them. So score at 4 inches. And score at 4 inches. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to adhere this down to the top of my and bottom of my box. Okay, so, and you know, it looks like with my box, what I did with my pocket is it's kind of getting in the way a little bit with when I close it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull this up, and I'm going to move this up a little bit because that is just a little bit in the way. Just move that up a little bit, and it's once I get the weight of everything on here, that will go down just fine. So now I'm going to center this on my box here, and I'm going to actually use some tape for this as well. I want to get this really secure onto the top of my box. And what this is going to create is this really cute closure, as you can see, that you can attach the binding ring to, and it shuts that box for you. So super cute and clever way to close a box, don't you think? It's very cool just to see all like the different ways, because these tags we use in so many different ways, and oftentimes you don't think about alternative ways, like using this as a way to close a box. So Kathy was so clever to think of this cute little closure and then attaching the binding ring that also comes inside the box. So, all right, got my tape attached. Now I'm going to put this across the center of the top of my box. And then with the green side exposed. Okay. Inking that edge, and then I'm going to do across the bottom as well. And across the bottom and across the top, we're going to be covering part of these up as well. So I'm going to center this across the bottom of my box. All right, ink that edge as well. And you can see I've got this perfectly lined up closure. So just like that, you've created this really cool closure. And so what you're gonna do from here is we're gonna take our binding ring, and that is going to get added on there, but we're going to decorate our binding ring first. And so you want to grab your chipboard, and from your chipboard set, you're going to grab a few different chipboard pieces, 5 to be exact. This little paradise chipboard piece. Also, you want to grab these cute little fish. Another paradise with a little pink flower, little piece there. And then also these 2 tags down in the bottom. One says tropical and the other adventure. As I'm going to just hurry and ink the edges and add some of this gorgeous turquoise blue ribbon that from your stash, but you could add any ribbon that you have in your collection that goes with this coat line. And since there are so many colors, I'm sure you have something perfect to be added on. And another thing if you could do, if you don't love the backs of these tags, the chipboard, with all the extra paper you're going to have in this collection, after you make the 2 projects, you're gonna have tons of extra little paper. So if you want to, you could always go in and cover those backs, but that's totally up to you. So I'm just inking the edges, finishing, making these look swell and nice for the line, nice for the binding ring. And how many of you have the perfect pictures to go with this little home decor project? You can see we're just making this really cute little binding ring jewel, if you will, charms that will be a nice little accent to as you can see. How cute is that? All right, so now that we have conquered step 9 of our project sheet, we're gonna grab exotic destination paper like this with the beautiful sandy and the black passport cover, and you're gonna go in and you're gonna cut postcard. So with your Seaside Holiday, you're going to cut off those 4 border pieces first. Then you're going to cut off each one of these little ladies and the little tags. So cut the list down. We're going to be using all of these at some point here. So make all those cuts, those 2 papers, and that is step 10. Once we have cut those up, we're going to just put those on the side next to us because we're going to be pulling from them. So first thing is you're going to take the little postcard and we're going to cut this down because this we're going to be putting on the top of our box, but we want it a little bit smaller. So we're going to take that and we're just going to cut it in half right on that line. So just with our scissors, we're just going to cut that down the center. Then I'm going to take my edges and I'm going to round them with my corner rounder, or with the trick that I showed you with the packaging. And we're just going to do the outside edges since we're going to be adhering this closer together. So now I'm going to go in and ink those edges. Looking good, looking good. Okay. So we have done that. Now we are going to be laying this on top of one another. So I'm going to actually adhere it together because I want it to be, I want about a 1/2 inch on each side. And so I'm going to overlap them about a 1/2 inch as well. So grab my tape. And you can tell as the project goes on, the workspace gets more cluttered and more cluttered. Isn't that the truth? So take the okay. All right, so that is looking great. So now that I have done that, I'm going to pop this up on some 3D adhesive and I'm going to center that on my box. So I'm grabbing my 3D adhesive, which was somewhere. Oh, there it is. And I'm gonna just put that across the back, and you can use any 3D adhesive, just whatever is your fave. I like using this, the 3D adhesive on a roll because it's super quick. I'll put a little bit in the middle too. So this will be nice because it just gives the project, and I think the top of it, this extra kind of touch. Okay. Take off the backs of those. All right. So now I'm going to make sure this is right side up, first and foremost. And then I'm going to center it on my box, like so. Now I'm going to take a few pieces from my, I'm going to take my little Tropical Travelogue piece, as well as I'm going to take out, and on this I'm going to actually just be using the top part of it. So I'm just going to rip it kind of down the middle of it. like so. And then I'm gonna ink those edges so everything looks finished, because this is gonna be tucked in behind my cute little lady with the sun umbrella parasol. So that's gonna go up in the top corner. Now I wanna grab my papers. Grab a couple more papers. So what we're gonna grab is our Island Jewel paper. Looks like this. Also, I'm going to grab my rainforest paper that looks like this. So first, you're gonna grab your Island Jewel paper, and you are going to be fussy cutting out 2 different kind of bunches of the flowers. So cut those out. Another like one individual. And then I'm gonna cut out from my rainforest, I'm gonna cut out some of those big, beautiful leaves. And then an individual one of those. So I'm gonna do that. And then also from my rainforest, on the B side, the smaller piece, I'm gonna cut out this 7 by 4 7/8. And this piece is actually gonna be going across the bottom of our box before we put those feet on. So you want to cut out those pieces now. And so with the fussy cutting, as you know, that we are such huge fans of here at G45. So what you want to do is, instead of using and working with this whole sheet of paper in your hand, you're going to go in and you're going to identify, like, I want to cut out this flower. So then I would just go in and loosely cut around that flower, like so. Set that huge sheet of paper aside, and then just work with this little piece of paper. So then it's much, much more manageable. And then I try and move the paper around my scissors so my scissors aren't moving all the way around my paper. So the paper, and so when you have that really nice, manageable size, it's really easy just to like move that around your scissors. So that is just one tip when you're fussy cutting of how to quickly fussy cut. I know a lot of people at first don't love it, but once I think you learn some of these tricks, it makes it much easier and very kind of therapeutic. So I've got my flowers and everything pre-cut and some of my leaves. So I'm going to ink the edges. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to grab a few other pieces I'm going to be using to decorate. I'm going to be using this gorgeous woman with the frame and also in the parasol, which that's 2 pieces, but you want both of them. And then I'm going to be grabbing one of my chipboard buttons that has the holes there. I'm going to pop those through. And so I'm going to ink all the edges of all these items, and then I'm going to run some ribbon through this one. So I'm going to do that now. So as you're fussy cutting all those pieces, just try to remember that there's no mistakes. And if you cut off a part of the flower that you didn't want to, it's okay, because with fussy cutting and using them as decoration, how we are, is we're going to be layering, so you can always hide those imperfections really easily. That's why I think I like fussy cutting so much, is that it's very easy to cover up a mistake if there is one, because there is no mistake. So I'm now just inking the edges. And these floral pieces, we're gonna be creating some dimension with them as well, and using some 3D adhesive. And so when you're inking the edges, it's okay if you start breaking that fiber of the paper down a little bit, because we are going to be kind of loosening the fibers anyhow. So all right. So, as you can see, now we're going to start adhering down our pieces onto our cover. And in our example, we have, you can just kind of play around with it. And of course, you can follow the pictures and you can follow what we're doing, but it's kind of fun to get a little bit creative and do what you think, what calls to you. So I want to add a little bit of ribbon in this chipboard button. So I'm pulling some of that turquoise ribbon. This is like a seam binding. So it has that very vintage look to it and feel. So with this, we're going to follow that kind of messy trend that we have been doing and just knot it. I'll trim those up a little bit so they're not too long. Okay. So now I'm going to the lower level of the flowers I'm just going to glue down with some plain liquid adhesive, and then some of these upper level things I think I'll actually put up on some adhesive, some 3D adhesive. And this part, I think, is a lot of fun, where you're just kind of playing with it and layering and figuring out what you think looks best, knowing that there's no right way to do it. Get that adhesive off the back of those. Definitely need nails for this adhesive. All right. So don't you think that this steamer trunk is coming together nicely? I sure do. We're just gonna overlay that like that. Then we're gonna have a couple other pieces here and there. We're gonna have that little button up in the corner. Like so. We're gonna glue her, our pretty lady, down in the bottom corner. Looks like she got turned a little bit, so we're gonna actually glue her like that. And I'm gonna add another flower down here. But I'm going to actually pop that up a little bit. beautiful. And as you can see, the cover of the box has just come together beautifully, and it has all this fun dimension just by using some of the fussy cutting skills and just different pieces from the collection. So that is the outside of the box. Now we're going to go on to the inside, and we are going to create, actually, I'm skipping ahead of you, I'm so sorry. Now I'm actually going to glue on the bottom piece of the box, and then we're going to do the feet. And then we are going to create the cute little tag that goes on the inside pocket. And then of course, in our video too, we have a gorgeous travel notebook that coincidentally, or maybe not at all coincidentally, fits perfectly inside. So, as I'm sure all of you are loving travel notebooks as much as we are here at G45, this one's perfect for all of those beach vacay pics that you have from your trip that you may have taken this year, or maybe years ago that you just didn't have the right collection for it, but now Tropical Travelogue is calling to you. So I've got that across my bottom, and it's so finished and looks beautiful. Now I'm going to grab my, thank you. I'm going to grab my feet here and I'm gonna grab my feet. Just had our neighbor stop by the office and drop something off there. A little interruption, sorry about that, folks. So I'm just grab my feet from my packaging. Very cool feet. If you haven't worked with these, are super heavy duty. So what do we need? Our heavy duty E6000. If you don't have E6000, Tim Holtz, what is it? Glossy Accents, that's what it is. That works quite well for metal. There's a number of different metal products that do work, so you do not have to use the E6000, but it is definitely one that works quite well. So we're just gonna put these on the bottom of our box after we've put that gorgeous rainforest paper down. And I'm gonna just glue those down. And the important thing about these, gluing these, adhering these pieces down, is it's not great if you have to be mobile after you make this project. I'd suggest gluing them down once your project is where it needs to be. So with that said, if you happen to be making this at a friend's house and then you're going to be flying home and you're going to be putting your stuff in a suitcase, I would just wait to glue these on until you get home. But if you're already at home in your own craft room, then go for it. So we're just going to glue those on, and then we're going to keep that upside down and set that aside so that those can dry. So here, now we're going to go into the tag. Now we're on track here. All right, so you have one more black tag that came in your box. You want to grab that. Also, you want to grab a couple papers. You're going to grab this Botanica paper with all these gorgeous little botanical scenes. And then you're also going to grab this Oceana paper. And so from these papers, what we need is, this is step 14. We need two. We need two. They're the same. So we need two of these. It's a 3 3/4 by 4 7/8. So two of those. Also, you are going to take a strip of the Botanica cutting it vertically down. I'm using the butterfly, the one with the butterfly at the top. You want to cut that straight down, including, very important, having that top border of where like the barcode information and everything is. You want to keep that on there because we're going to be using that to glue this down. So cut those down. Then you want to go in and cut around the edges of each of those tags. So just fussy cut those in, and you'll have those pieces. All right. So once you have done that, what we're going to be creating is this super cute little tag that goes in our pocket that looks like this. How cute is that, right? So it just goes and rests perfectly in our little pocket. And then right in there, in our next video, if you haven't watched it yet, the travel journal video, that actually resides right in there. And look how cute that is, right? So what we want to do is we have our pieces. What's our first step? Ink edges, right? So we're inking those edges. Just getting them all inky. Okay, ink these guys as well. Okay, so what we're going to do first to create this effect is we're going to take our piece here. We're just going to score it on the line. At the top of the top tag. So scoring it across that line. So I can fold that behind, and that is going to get folded, centered behind there. So I'm going to ink my scored edge there. So I'm going to take adhesive, and I'm going to have this be on the fish outside paper. And I'm going to put adhesive on the back side of this flap. And then centering it back there. And then as you can see, that just folds up like that. So once I've done that, I'm going to center this across my tag. And the thing that's cool about this little tag is it's super simple, but it's got some wow factor to it. And that is one of my favorite combinations, right? Simple with wow factor. Okay, so then across the back, we're just gonna have this B side be up as well. Front side, the A side's up with the fish. So the back side is the B side of the pattern. Front side. Okay, definitely need more adhesive. Note to self. Okay. All right, so now I've glued that across the back. Now we're going to do a little decorating. So again, we're going to take one of our little buttons here, And then we have our little black square guys with the compasses. And then that's it. Looks like we have then a sticker, and so I'm going to ink those edges and just adding these final touches to our tag that goes inside the pocket. So I love these little tiny chipboard pieces. Like, they make the cutest accents because they look like little buttons because of the thickness of the chipboard. So they got some nice quality going on to them. And then I also have this little sticker, green sticker that goes across the bottom that says Our Travels, and I'm just going to ink those too. So grab that, and that's going to just line up on this line down across the bottom like that. I need a little bit more ribbon and just adding these final touches to our tag that goes inside the pocket.